All right, Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to the CxO show, which is organized by CxO Global Forum. CxO Global Forum is a knowledge sharing platform where ideas meet innovation, mentors meet startups, and learning and ideas are scaled across the community. I'll be your host for the show today. This is Safir. I have a decade-long experience in digital marketing and software house. I've been running two businesses over here. My personal expertise lies in startup consultancy, marketing strategy training, and user interface building. The core idea behind these kind of sessions is to basically have industry experts combined into a single session. Jahan pe we'll be having casual discussions about the industry, of course, about the growth, the challenges, the future prospects, and of course, the learnings, जो कि हम सब मिलके सीखते हैं. The topic for today that we've chosen, it's a pretty interesting one. It's sales and marketing strategies for businesses, especially in Pakistan. Because in today's rapidly evolving business landscape, understanding the unique challenges and, of course, the opportunities in the Pakistani market, it's pretty crucial for success. We'll be discussing a wide range of topics from digital marketing trends to the sales opportunities and, of course, the approaches in the Pakistani market. We have a diverse set of panel over here. It's an interesting panel with a diverse experience. I'll just introduce the panel to the guests right now, and then we can hop on right to the questions. First off, we have Mr. Mian Haseeb Tariq. He's the Regional Sales Head of Future Point Technologies. Thank you so much for joining, sir. We have Mr. Fahad Khan. Mr. Fahad Khan, he's the CEO of Canada Prime Marketing. We have Ms. Farheena Kauser. She is the Head of Corporate Brands at Trakker right now. She has been associated with the digital media industry since a long time. We have Mr. Iftikhar Munir Saab. He is the business head of ZM Global. He has been a veteran, of course. He has an extensive experience of teaching. He has been into training as well. So looking forward to a great, healthy discussion today. We'll be having two more guests later in the show. So inshallah, we'll be introducing them as we go forward. All right, so before we get to the individual questions, I'd like to open the floor for my first question. If anyone of you want to volunteer for that question. So the first question would be, what are the most effective channels for reaching Pakistani consumers in terms of marketing and sales? Because we see that the times have changed, especially after COVID, and the landscape has changed dynamically. So what would be the most effective channels for reaching the Pakistani consumers right now? The floor is open.
May I start?
Please.
Yeah. Okay, this is Iftikhar. I'm associated with the distribution network. I own my distribution network, and we are in this business for the last 35 years. So, but as far as my experience is concerned, so I've experienced more than 30 years of sales and marketing of FMCG products, and especially all a few multinational companies and national companies. And I'm among few fortunate people, those who have worked the other side of the table and this side of the table, the both side of the table. So I have tasted both the flavors of the market, sales and all those things. I just wanted to start why, because there's a huge opportunity in Pakistan in a way that the size of the market is humongous, huge market. And as far as the market here and the salesman concerned, I'm the salesman. So I see the huge opportunities in Pakistan as far as the FMCG products are concerned, services are concerned, because the size of the market is too big. If you see, and as far as the channels are concerned, you're talking about the channels. So we have a conventional channels. We have a different channels to tap the market. So we have opportunities of channels, and I think the online channel or the digital channels are still there, but the conventional channels are very much into the consideration, and these channels are really working so hard. And every company, multinational or the national good company, even the small scale companies, those who are selling FMCG products, those who are selling services, those who are selling the digital products, those who are using both the channels. So as far as the channels are concerned, I believe that the channels, the online channels, yes, it is digital channels. All these channels are important to tap the market, to reach the market, but the conventional channel is also playing a very, very important role. And the size of the market is there, the landscape of the shops, landscape of the avenues are gigantic. So this is among the few things that I would like to mention here. And as far as we will proceed for the discussion, I will add my experience and try to add few more to it. See, now, anyone else?
Great answer. So I think before moving on to another panelist, I'd like to welcome Mr. Jordan. He has joined us for this show right now. I think it's pretty early for him. He is joining from the United States. He is the co-founder of QisstPay, in fact, the executive chairman right now, and he has been associated with Buy Now Pay Later solutions globally. So welcome, sir, on board. We were just having a discussion on the channels, what are the most effective channels in terms of reaching the Pakistani consumers, in terms of marketing and sales in Pakistan. So anyone else want to answer this, or should we go towards individual questions?
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, you can go on, please, right now.
Okay, so
Yes.
I was just gonna say I agree with Iftikhar Saab, but Pakistan, we have to all understand that it is a mobile first nation. So everybody's got a mobile. Even kids going to school now have access to their own handheld devices, and they have their own applications and their own platforms that they use for their own personalized content consumption. So, if that is the penetration of mobile devices in Pakistan, I think more digital first content, is effective. It reaches more audiences and it is easy to consume. It is easy to shut off whenever you want to,
Okay.
and all marketing approaches should have a digital first or a mobile first approach at the heart of their planning. And anything that is then branched out of any digital platform would then only supplement the use of a handheld device. So all your e-commerce platforms and online shops have gone way more popular after COVID. We tend to buy online way more since COVID
Hmm.
ended than we used to before. So an e-commerce platform, a strategy to have your own e-commerce platform, integrate e-commerce and e-commerce marketing into your business is very important. Every
Okay.
business, including my own company, sells products online. We even have separate deals sometimes just for bring our consumers to our website or our social platforms to buy online, and they don't have to really come to our office or our installation centers. They can just buy online and get the installations done at their houses.
Hmm.
So other than that, video content, there are a lot of platforms that are now offering just video content. TikTok is an example, and TikTok is very popular in Pakistan, and it supersedes the literacy or the illiteracy rate of Pakistan. There is no divide.
Hmm.
That divide has been blurred because earlier we used to differentiate between LinkedIn and Facebook being a different medium for different kind of audiences. More business minded people use LinkedIn, and everybody
Yeah.
uses Facebook. And TikTok ventured into Pakistan, and it just blurred that line, and everybody's consuming content on TikTok. So more video content is getting popular on these digital platforms, which is the next wave, I think, for at least another few years or so. Influencer marketing, I have been doing influencer marketing for past six,
Hmm.
7 years with different brands that I've worked with. And again, they leverage their own social presence and their online presence for your brand. And that is a really good, platform to cross promote something that you want to sell to their audiences, and vice versa. I have had a really good experience working with all kinds of influencers, especially tech influencers are few but good ones in Pakistan. Social influencers are a lot, but you can select the kind of person that you want to work with. But they all come in all ranges and shapes and sizes, and I have had some good experiences, especially collab campaigns are great with influencers and utilizing their digital presence in their digital cloud. So, other than that, there are a lot of blogs and social groups, closed groups on Facebook also that are really good for digital marketing and easily getting your message across on platforms. So that's what I wanted to add here to the question, and I've personally experienced these platforms.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much. Haseeb, sir, you were adding something before this.
Yeah, I was just trying to add the same thing. We are into the B2B market segment, and in IT, we're an IT system integrator. So our customers are actually banks, financial sector, insurance, and telecom. So our marketing is like more focused and uh, you know ads and social media really works for us. But B2B market, going, meeting customers, taking care of them, remembering their birthdays, their special days, and again, something like, sending them uh, uh, Eid gifts and New Year gifts. Actually, this sort of marketing actually works for us in our segment, especially. So this is something I wanted to add.
Yeah, it's kind of
Perfect.
interesting.
So I think yeah, you were adding something, Jordan?
Yeah.
Please.
I think to Steve's point, for us, even prior to KisstPay, right, I've sold primarily B2B, but with a lot of B2B to C, right? So I've sold to like REI, Forever 21, Lenovo, and then KisstPay, we went from, 100 merchants to like 2,000 in like 6 months. So I mean, we're talking to both the merchants and the consumers, and it sounds kind of dated, but good old fashioned phone calls. I mean, I remember we got into Cody. I was dialing from the U.S. middle of the night. Got a meeting set with Cody for our buy now pay later solution, and even on the consumers, even today, on our mall solution, we if a customer abandons cart and we view them as a high ticket customer, we give them a call. Hey, it's not about just the conversion, right? It's also about the amount of feedback that you get. Hey, why didn't you
Makes
convert?
sense.
Was the site too slow? Is it not the right offer? And so for us, I mean, where we specialize on the not just the acquisition but the conversion side is, we work with tier one retailers in the U.S. and we optimize what we call cart and beyond, because we view you spend all this money getting the customers to the site, but then you'll view that someone, they never looked at, where exactly they're dropping off, at the bottom of the cart, right? So is it on the shipping page? Is it on the actual checkout page? And why or why not? So we find that the call isn't just about simply getting the customer, but the feedback that you get for your product is crazy valuable.
Great. Okay, so this brings to my next question. I think, Jordan, this would be for you because you shared your experience with getting Pakistani businesses on board in this case. So, what would be the key differences, or maybe the considerations in developing sales and or marketing strategies, especially when it comes to comparing Pakistani businesses with the other businesses internationally? Because you have worked internationally in multiple businesses. So, what's the key difference or consideration that you need to keep in mind?
Yeah, so a couple things. I mean, especially on the B2B side, when you look at the sales process. So my whole background is sales management, sales leadership, and even today I do some consulting for some companies for around sales strategy. And one of the key differences that I noticed between Pakistani businesses and US businesses is that the sales cycle for Pakistan companies, even the large ones, are incredibly shorter. So in my career, most of the sales cycles that I sold to were 12 to 24 months long, just part of the process,
Okay.
right? Even in Pakistan, like 6 months would be considered long, at least in my experience. So I think there's a level of complexity that comes into global sales that maybe some people aren't used to when they transition in. The other side is a little bit different, is that I think this is more of like a Pakistan thing in general. As I always hear people like, well, it's different here in Pakistan, right? People love to say that, right? And they kind of use that as like a crutch to not improve sometimes, right? Instead of looking at things and trying new things. So, we'll say, hey, for an example, so I have a sales automation tool called Another CRM, and like what it does is it basically sets up steps and keeps your folks on task because it takes an average of 11 to 13 touch points for someone to respond to you for cold outreach, right? So when we brought it to Pakistan, like a lot of people were saying, well, it doesn't work like that here. You know, we had to do this meeting in person, do X, Y, Z. And what we found is when they started using the platform, especially like software houses and whatnot, they loved it, right? And so I do find that sometimes staying in a traditional mindset prevents a lot of people selling, either just being from Pakistan, from really exploding, because the skill set of having a conversation is absolutely solid for people coming out of the country. It's more so understanding that there are other ways to do things. By adopting new technologies and new strategies, you really can go a long way. And I still remember I got a comment a couple of times of like, oh, you're American, so you can get away talking like that in Pakistan. And so I said, well, the next time we go to a meeting, I want you to do that. And sure enough, they tried it and it worked, right? And so the salespeople we have out of QisstPay even, right, do extremely well wherever they go because, we've shown them that there are other ways to do things, and it's okay to look at new technologies and new strategies. And if you do, that's what helps you grow. It doesn't always have to be, well, because it's Pakistan and it's different. And once again, I hear that comment not just in sales, but for many, many other areas as well.
All right, great. Okay, so again, to continue this discussion, this brings me to my next question, and I think Fahad, this would be for you because you have been associated with businesses in Canada. You have been working outside Pakistan as well. So, what do you think? How much cultural and social factors influence consumer behavior? Of course, that would relate both in Pakistan and in the international market. So, what do you think? How much does this matter? The cultural and social factors. Sure. Yeah, I think you're muted. It's on the bottom of the page.
Sorry, I had too many tabs open, and I was trying to find the tab back. So
okay.
basically, even when Jordan's talking, we talk about American, Canadian markets. That's where I've worked most of my life with big telecoms and mostly Fortune 500 companies. The one thing before, like it does matter. Everywhere we go, we need to understand our local customers. Psychology is a little bit different in Pakistan as compared to Middle East, to America, to Europe. I can use some international examples too. We studied a while ago where a giant like Walmart, they are a giant and they were opening in every single country, billions and billions of dollars. They tried to go to Germany. They did not understand the culture there because American culture is more about greeting and polite, where Germans, they're like, just give me my stuff, don't talk to me much. They're more about to the point. And something like Walmart kind of failed to a local store where they were just, so it's very important to understand who we are dealing. One thing is, I like what Jordan was talking, and I'm working with a lot of startups in Pakistan. The biggest problem is we are trying to do marketing without measuring. So what's the point of anything you cannot measure? You cannot improve. The easiest thing in marketing is spending money. That's the easiest thing. You have $1 million sitting, you have 100,000 rupees sitting. That's the easiest thing. Okay, let's go put a billboard. Who knows what that billboard did for you? Yes, Facebook and some we can see, okay, it cost me 15 cents a lead or 1 cent a lead or whatever the cost per lead is. But do you even know what is the cost for your customer? I've asked people, what is the LTV of your customer? Lifetime value of your customer? People don't know. The telecom I work for, they're huge, giant. And to give you an idea, but they can afford these things, but small companies might not be, but there are tools to do that. So whatever marketing you're doing, track, and automate. I'm at the point where I'm automating. Company like telecom, they would know exactly the way John was saying, where they're losing the customers, how much it costs them, how much they pay the vendor, how much they pay the marketing team, what is the cost of installation, what is the cost of activation, if every single thing they know. So my suggestion to you is, even in Pakistan, you want to do something, yes, understand the psychology, but get the best technologies and learn from international markets. CRM is now being introduced. 90% probably of the dealership, the real estate people might not even have CRM. I'm already working on CRM myself. I've launched few. I'm going to customize and launch something very similar. Not only CRM, but maybe the automation of marketing. That's going to be a long topic, so I'll leave that for now. But maybe down the road, we can talk more about that.
Great. Thank you for your answer. Okay, you talked about measuring and you talked about tracking. So, which again, when we talk about the B2B markets, Haseeb Saab, if you can answer this, because you're working in the B2B sales, especially. So, what's the right way to measure the effectiveness of a marketing campaign? Because it's pretty different when it comes to B2B sales. How do you measure that?
Yeah, actually, the best thing to measure about is like customer experience. The repeat orders are coming in when you are good at customer services. Your customer experience is good with you. So in B2B segments, if we are doing a project, we are finishing it on time, we are doing it in the most appropriate manner. We have done everything according to the scope of work, and we have given something extra to our customer. So then again, in terms of professionalism and in terms of training and in terms of transferring of information to the customer, enabling them to do more using that technology. So that actually creates value for our customers. That is actually something customer reconsider to give to help us to generate more business from the same customer. So again, the tools does matter. Like Farhad just said, CRM is a good tool. It has it has a lot of features which help generate more leads, and it also has that knowledge base that helps newcomers to the organization to build on that knowledge base. And then there is actually, what do you call it, uh, customer lifetime value, which Fahad just mentioned. So again, this is something which B2B counts the customer experience, I must say, which actually generates more business for you, and it's a
All right.
direct
So,
market.
so when it comes to the business, the customer experience, basically, and the measurement, if you talk about tools, do you actually use any sort of dashboards, or maybe the Pakistani businesses who are focusing on the B2B sales, especially when it comes to IT system integration? Are you guys using any dashboards, any tools, or maybe some formal market research to refine your sales process?
Yes, we do use. We have our own CRM. Then we have other CRMs as well, like Salesforce, that actually helps us maintain that knowledge base and to build that knowledge base, and that actually helps us do more when it comes to marketing and when it comes to B2B sales.
Great, great, perfect. Okay,
Sincere,
so
I want to comment real quick on this topic. It's a really,
please.
really important topic, especially for people living in Pakistan. So one of the largest issues that Pakistan has is I think is the education system. Not necessarily that the schools are like the worst or the best or anything like that. It's more so on the education of what you actually need to know going into the workforce. So when we started into Pakistan, we started using tools like Segment and Braze, very expensive tools, but knowing how to use those tools for going back to Steve and Fahad's point of being able to measure and track every interaction is super important. If you go into LinkedIn right now and you type in Braze as a tool set, 2 years ago, there were 0 people. Now there's less than 100 that know how to use that tool, right? Those types of tools, although expensive, there's things like Rudderstack, which are less expensive, but there's very few people that really know how to do A/B testing, right? It's not just A/B testing an image, right? It's how do you run a control test, A, B, C, D, E, F test, right? Put that out there, measure where they're dropping off at, figuring out how do I optimize against each consumer for every step of their journey, coming back and reiterating over and over again. That overall mindset and the understanding of how to use those tools not only prevent the businesses from doing better, not just in Pakistan, but also prevents a lot of people that want to work abroad from getting those jobs because they aren't even aware of those type of tools. And so I think it's important to realize that it's not just measure or just automate this thing, things like that. It's about there are a lot of tools out there, and I think people want to learn more about them. Go on YouTube, go to their FAQs, learn how to use those tools, and that will set you years beyond any of your counterparts.
I think this perfectly makes sense. Again, when we talk about research and testing, especially if Iftikhar, if you can answer this, you have been associated with teaching and training for the past decade, more than a decade, in fact. Uh, what do you think? What are the resources or training opportunities for Pakistani, maybe individuals and businesses as well, to learn these kind of tricks and tips and tools, and maybe focus on the strategy in making their sales and marketing better?
Yeah. First, I would like to comment on Jordan's what he said. Yes, Jordan, education is the major concern here to Pakistan. But there is another point I would like to mention to answer my question, which is we just asked. That the companies, just few companies are investing on training and development. But there are a lot of room available here. But the companies are not investing in training and development of their employees, their people. And as an educationist, I just see that some people want here because the dynamics, economic dynamics are different here in Pakistan. So we cannot say that everyone is affluent and he can spend some bucks and get the trainings and all these things. Yeah, as far as the training and development is concerned, there are a lot of companies, all multinational companies have their modules and they are coming up with their relevant trainings. But there must be some platform which offer the training and the scope of those trainings should be very wide. That should be that variety should not be limited to their product and services which the multinational companies and the few national companies are offering. So on-job training, apprenticeships, and these type of things are very much required here in Pakistan because we are living in different environment. We have yes, of course, we have 110 million internet connections and we have more than 120 million smartphones. But again, the trainings, when you go for a training, trainings come when you practically involve in implementing things, the execution. You need you have to complete posting yourself and do the training. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities available here in Pakistan. A lot of groups, lot of forums are available. Those who train people, but I feel that a lot of room for improvement. And one thing I would like to establish here, as far as the training and development is concerned, that those companies should invest on their people to invest to get them trained. So this is something which I can see that there's a room here, and people are not investing as such. Companies are not investing as such the way they're supposed to invest. If you see any HR department, how much they have a budget for the training and development of their employees, so they are not spending much. So this is the role. Yes, there are a few forums, there are a few people, those who are really working hard and they are offering good trainings and development. I'm working with the multinational companies. We are distributing their product. I haven't seen any major training platform over there where they can send their people to get trained. So this is something which is really looking forward from the companies. End. Now, there is another point that the national companies are really not investing on these things. Just digital content and all these things. And this is something that is really yes. Now people are get awareness and people are trained away, audiences are away. But as far as the conventional, I still believe on that the conventional because these are the tools. In the CRM, these are the tools to reaching the people to communicate with the people. With the conventional, as Lisa said, in B2B, they're supposed to visit people. They're supposed to go and talk to them. They're supposed to, the offer the R&D or as far as the food is concerned, you have to give the R&D and all these type of things. So over there, you have to be trained. You know how to negotiate, how to bargain, how to put your point in forward. So this is for that training. I think that there is a lot of room, and Pakistan is a huge market. I still say that it's a huge market, and the resource is available. Resource is available. We just need to polish that resource. That's
Great,
my answer.
perfect. Thank you for your answer. I think there's a need of realization that which Jordan was talking about earlier, that we need to find gaps. We need to realize that these are the gaps, and then of course that should align with the vision that your management or your company is having, and then train the right resources or train the right team to fill that gap. Okay, so this brings to my next question, Farheena. This would be for you. We talked about the B2B and B2C marketing strategies and sales strategies. Because you have been associated with the digital industry since a long time, what do you see if you talk about trends? What are the current trends in digital marketing in Pakistan? And how do business, especially when it comes to B2B businesses, how can they benefit from them?
So, as I said earlier, also there are a lot of the overall strategies and the business approaches are shifting towards your devices that you use, and your device usually derives how you're going to propose your overall message to your audience. What is the segment of that audience that is going to see that message, and how are they going to interact with that message? Interactivity of a message is a good experience for consumers these days, because earlier you could see an ad running on a television, and then you would either buy that product or not buy that product, or respond to that by buying it, by spending some money around it. But now you can actually interact with that ad, and there are surveys and there are ads, and there are all kinds of experiences that are created for you to just interact with that brand and see how you even feel about it before you make a transaction with them. So that experience in itself is, for if I talk about myself as a user or a consumer, that is a great experience for me, because if I'm trying to buy something for the first time and I'm trying to learn more about it before I make a transaction, that is the good way to go about it for me. That I want to understand your product, I want to interact with you, I want to interact with the brand, and then go for it. And digital platforms and digital marketing tools actually help us create an experience for the consumer before and amid a campaign as well. That's how you also optimize your campaigns, because you get real-time feedback from your consumers, and you are able to actually improve your campaign, and yield for or look forward to a superior result. So that is, I think, the beauty of all digital platforms, that you are able to grab something from the end consumer in real time, while you have a campaign running, while you have time left to further that campaign. It can be a Ramadan campaign, it could be an Independence Day campaign, it could be a cricket tournament campaign. It can be different from the start, and in the middle of the campaign, you realize the trends are shifting because Pakistan is not winning that tournament. So the trend shift, right? So Pakistan is not doing well in that tournament. Your ad and your messaging can always change, and you tilt towards whoever is going to be the winning party at the end of the tournament. And they may not be your favorite country, or they may be a favorite country, but with a digital campaign, you can always tilt your message towards the winning party. So that is an example that I wanted to give, and it's actually how the consumer is being driven around. An example like a cricket tournament, and how are people actually feeling about it. The sentiment is there, it's obvious, how they're feeling about it, how they're feeling about other teams playing. So this is an example that, if you really dive into it, you understand that this 6 week long tournament or a 4 week long tournament actually gave you the opportunity to optimize your campaign on a weekly basis or a 2 weekly basis. That is something that I think is very useful now, and you can actually smartly spend your money, your campaign budget, and you can hold back if it's not performing well. You can always go back to the drawing board and recreate your message, and you can always understand what works and what doesn't work for my next campaign, or if I have to extend this campaign. So that's what I believe is the current trend. I mean, we all have been talking about digital platforms and marketing for past 10 or so years, but the usability point of it and the scalability point of it comes in from the start and the mid of the campaign. You don't have to wait for your campaign to end and then you scale it. So That's what I think is really working for Pakistani brands, for us also, my brand as well, the brand that I represent. And we are shifting more towards the digital side of, B2B and B2C marketing and drifting away from our conventional mediums that were popular before. So, yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. So one more follow-up question. This is personally for me. I think when it comes to scaling the strategy or optimizing the campaigns, basically, what do you feel is the main difference when it comes to scaling or optimizing B2B campaigns? Because B2B and as compared to B2C, basically there are two campaigns which you can run. So what's the major difference that you feel in terms of strategy that you need to change in terms of optimizing the campaign when it comes to B2B campaigns and B2C campaigns on digital media?
So, if you identify your channels or your mediums beforehand, would be a good start. Don't try and test, something that you already know has never worked for your B2B audience or your B2C audience. If I give an example of my own brand, so TPL Tracker is selling a tracker, which is a tracking device. We have been selling it for 22 years. Everybody in Pakistan knows that brand. And yes, it is a GPS device that is installed in your car, and that is an end consumer product. However, a company is also buying it for their fleet. The TCS and the DHLs of the world are also using our services for their office vehicles, and that is the same tracker that they are using, but they are corporate clients. So the strategy usually, the end consumer needs to see the pain points and this problem versus solution approach. When we're selling a tracker to them, what are we highlighting in that is we touch base with all the security and the theft conditions in Pakistan about vehicles and bikes. And we talk about how your vehicle parts are, especially batteries, are being stolen all the time. So that is a common day, everyday pain point for a consumer who is actually using a tracker and why they need a tracking device. So I'm giving an example of my brand. But when I'm selling an IoT solution can be anything from water level monitoring to fuel monitoring. It can be an automated solution for your home or your office, having a smart home and an office. That message completely, then the narrative itself changes completely. That is a specific solution for a specific product that we are selling, which is not a tangible product. You can't really hold it in your hand. It's a solution-oriented product that is accessible through an application. We have also seen differences between hardware and software when we're selling those. People used to respond more to having a hardware device in their hand and seeing it before it gets installed.
Mhm.
Now we do not even talk about a hardware device. We're only talking about a solution and an application that is available for our consumer. And we sell the USPs of those applications and that we built in house and that are being managed and monitored in house. So the approach of selling tracking devices also changed for us over the years. And there's no hardware that we talk about. We only talk about the application that we sell. So it is so the strategy for me, if I'm selling a B2B solution, I would first check the platforms that I'm going for. I want to see where my audience is sitting. Sometimes I'm just approaching CEOs. Sometimes I'm just approaching, head level individuals in organizations because they or their company would need my solution. So I have to actually, from the grassroots level, I have to see where my audiences are and what channels are they using to consume the content that I want to, utilize for this campaign. And if I'm selling a B2C product, then it has to be more towards, more popular. If I talk about digital only, I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but Facebook works for us. When we're trying to reach to our local audiences, an individual with a car or two cars or three cars, meri gadi or meri wife ki gadi, it works really well for consumers on Facebook like that. So I would always build a strategy around where my consumer is going to consume my content at, and that's the start of anything for our marketing strategies, and that's how we build them.
Perfect.
We do not really, I am not a fan of conventional mediums as much, as 5 years
Okay.
ago, because we have more younger audiences responding to our product, and more younger audiences, understanding the need of a product that we are selling, compared to 5 or 7 years back.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the detailed answer. I think identifying the platforms is the main goal when it comes to B2B or maybe B2C campaigns. All right. So the next question, it's specifically for Jordan because you have been associated with buy now pay later and installment based businesses. When it comes to marketing campaigns, did you face any challenges or maybe any considerations that you should keep in mind when it comes to setting up a marketing campaign in Pakistan?
Yeah, great question. So, for us, we have both channels, both B2B and D2C. And when you look at the D2C side, the consumer acquisition cost is extremely inexpensive in Pakistan, especially on, traditional social media channels. And where we go into the B2B side, we never really struggled on the B2B side. I think one of the things was pricing because, look, it's the interest rate in Pakistan is 22% right now at the Fed, at the state bank level. So, to get a loan, it's going to be minimum 30% APR. And that's if you're a very well qualified candidate, right? And so where we come in is like we go into a merchant, pretty easy sell at this point, right? It's, even our mall.QisstPay.com that we use now, like we launched that in beta like a few weeks ago and didn't do any marketing around it except for a few light campaigns. And like we already get like thousands of hits. It's crazy. Like that people entering our checkout, not just the website, but the checkout as a whole. And so on the merchant side, we like the cold calling, cold emailing network. But once again, we have an established network already, so it's a bit different for us. But on the consumer side, we, by the virtue of buy now pay later and the way that it's functioned, is that's called the consumer acquisition flywheel. Whereas you board more merchants, more consumers start learning about your brand as a payment method. And as you add in more consumers, they start to go into more brands. So it kind of feeds off each other in a very nice fashion. And that's, when I go and do sales consulting for brands, I always look at it and say, hey, are you a B2B2C solution? And if you are, how do you create that flywheel to keep your marketing cost of acquisition costs low? What's interesting for us is that, we launched a what we call a credit score, which for those that may not be familiar, in the US, you have a score, and the higher your number is, the lower the interest rates you have and the more loans you can get. This concept doesn't really exist in Pakistan. Like it's a very difficult thing to communicate. And they say, well, why am I not getting 4 installments anymore? It's like, well, you missed 3 payments. So you get 2 installments now instead of 4, right? And so teaching, like trying to educate those customers of like, how do you bring a completely new concept that no understand? It's like, well, look, so we're going to be building houses pretty soon. So we're breaking ground on our first house next month. And, we're only offering those loans and those home builds to consumers that have shopped with us like 5 or 6 times, right? And meet other criteria, of course. And so it's not just how you get to the customers, but how do you explain a complex concept in a very short and concise way to get them to move down the funnel, right? So we were struggling recently. We did a campaign and we were struggling to get them to say, well, I want to buy this laptop now. It's okay, it's great, but you don't qualify to buy that laptop now. You have to buy like a shirt, right? And do that on some show so you can pay us back. Well, I don't want a shirt right now. Like, yeah, I understand, but like we're loaning money to you, right? So we have to set your criteria. So we actually did a campaign. We sent a couple people down into the market and literally passed out flyers and explained to people, what is this customer score? How do you do this? Sometimes, like I said, just having that conversation will actually help you refine your future marketing campaigns. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. People are afraid to pick up the phone and call their customer and just be like, why don't you understand about this? Like, what can make this easier for you to understand? And when we took those learnings back from those conversations, we refined some of the other campaigns that we're doing, and we've had great success in conversion improvement. Just as an example, we had a customer where we were optimizing their checkout, and we optimized just a single step page, and over about a period of a day and a half around. It wasn't just about the speed. but also some of the messaging. And we saw a 26% improvement on conversion from that step to the next. And that's huge, right? But people are like, oh, I don't need to improve the site speed. Oh, I don't need to, why do you have this auto selected? That's a waste of time. I've got other things I have to do. I'll just do more Facebook ads, but that's a leaky bucket, right? That's a leaky bucket. So I mean, once again, I think the challenges it's not unique to Pakistan. It's unique to any market that you introduce a new concept to.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are a bit short on time. I think we'll take the last question over here. Question would be okay. Great. We were talking about understanding the consumer and the experience of the consumer in this case. So, Fahad, if you could maybe shed a light on this, how can businesses tailor their products or services to meet their specific needs when it comes to high value purchases, maybe? So, how do you tailor the experiences of the consumers?
The tailoring comes way after. There's few steps come before usually. Like the reason that we're talking Pakistan when we say is we lack education when it comes to a lot of marketing because we use a lot of traditional ways. Just go with the flow, put on a billboard, and like I said, there's no tracking, nothing, anything like that. Before we tailor, I think the companies needs to know one thing, which is who is your ideal customer. And I've asked this to so many people. I asked in my coaching to you, first thing I will ask is who's your ideal customer? And the typical response, Sabi, that means everybody. The second they say everybody is you feel like hitting your head against the wall because no, everybody is not your customer. Oh, I'm selling a real estate. Everybody can afford it. No, there's something called customer avatar. Before you're going to tailor, you need to know who is going to buy from you, who's going to really buy from you. And once you know who's my ideal customer, is it like 25 to 30-year-old? Let's say I'm in my immigration business in Pakistan, it's different than Canada. So I'll use an example. We use Golden Visa for Canada, which is, we know the ideal customer is 40 plus. It has to be between 40 to 55, 60, yeah, sure. But if I'm running a Facebook ads, those are my ideal customers. But we do target younger people because we know they're going to talk to their parents. Because right now, we know already, according to the data, a lot of 18-year-olds are telling their mom and dad, we can move to Canada, for example. They look at the ad, but we know what is their profile. They must be wealthy because spending, let's say, $80,000 to $90,000 USD to move is not for everybody cup of tea. So we need to filter fast. We need to know who they are, where they live, where they breathe, where they hang out. And even if I talk in a business community, they have to be a specific profile. So we cannot just go to every single person. And that's where, even once they come into the funnel, my team knows very fast. If they don't qualify, don't waste their time and yours. Move to the next one. So who's your ideal customer? And second would be is then come in looking at what is your irresistible offer. Before you're going to tailor anything, what is your offer? And again, if you're just going to drop the price, that's not the offer. It has to be some value. Pakistan, you compete on price usually. Okay, he's giving for 10 rupees, I'll give for 9. Then there's a lot of funny videos for TikTok or somewhere I've seen a guy selling something like watermelon or something for 25 rupees. The guy next to put 20, then the other guy put 15, the next one put 10, then the guy who's selling for 10, when the third person comes, he buys everything for 10, promise he's out of stock, and then he starts
and sells it for 25. Yeah.
I want to put people down what Fahad is saying right here, right now. This is probably the number one takeaway. If you're to take anything we're talking about, this entire conversation is what Fahad said. The ICP, the ideal customer profile, is the number one. When I do consulting for companies doing sales, companies that are in Pakistan, companies that are in the US, I literally have a consulting engagement with a multi-billion-dollar company right now, doing sales strategy consulting for them. I spent over 300 hours defining their ideal customer profile. What we found is there's maybe 100 companies that actually fit that. So that total was like your TAM, your total addressable market, was way too small. So Fahad, everyone, that is the number one thing to take away. If you have not created your ideal customer profile down to the T, and then measured how many people fit that, you are wasting everything else that you do is unoptimized. That's the first thing you should do. So Fahad, nailed that point.
Thank you. Just create a customer avatar, customer persona. There's so many different things, like where they live, where they breathe, what they do, where they hang out. I'll use an example, CxO Global. Like even when Kamalbhai, he was at my office, we were talking, I know exactly Like this community is my ideal customer if I talk about learning or giving my services, or if I want to have some businesses when I move to internationally. We know that already, and that's where I think you need to know where you want to hang out. Where I spend time on some very much youth, those freelancer conferences, that's totally different. So we know where we want to spend time with and what are we getting. And one more thing, last thing I would say is before you can move to the next person, once you know who's your ideal customer, you've created an offer for them, then have a wait for some kind of a feedback. When you're sending the message, some kind of a system. Google reviews is of course one, you get that, but even in my immigration business, we have created a system. Everything is automated for almost. We are going to replace our appointment setters with the AI, where you click on the ad, AI is talking to you pretty much, and it's going to be, it's going to look like a person, but it's not a person. But it's going to book an appointment and keep reminding you till you show up in the office. After, if it reminded you enough time, if you haven't showed up after 30 days, might we just put a funny message, "Bhai, jana nahi tha to apply kyun kiya?" If you didn't want it to go, why did you even apply? Right? Something like that. But everything is going to be automated. That's the key. In Pakistan, our labor is cheap. Yes, I leverage that a lot for international businesses, but why don't we start automating a lot of segments where we can get the feedback, automatic feedback, and then we can use that data to go back and make better offers or listen to our customers.
Great. So I think again, there's a need of research.
Sabir, I want to add in the customer profile. I just want to add one line, Sabir.
Please.
As Fahad and Jordan said, just consumer profiling is a process. We have to keep in mind it's a process. It's not a program which is started and finished, because a customer is not your prospect at the moment, but it's a process. When you will get the feedback and as the time passes, that gentleman who is not your prospect, but after 6 months, after a year, he will be your prospect and your customer. So in Pakistan, I would like to add one thing, and this is my experience, and this is the review from the data. That in Pakistan, it is good for you. In Pakistan, the profiling is being changed in a very quick succession. It's not like in the other part of the world, In Pakistan, if you want to, if you one customer is not that profiling is not matched to your market or your target audience, but in a while, like in a year or two, you will see a drastic difference in that particular customer, and that customer will be your market, will be your audience. So Pakistan is a very dynamic market for that reason. And Jordan, I'm sure that you believe on this. That's a very dynamic market. Like if you, as far as your product is paid, its installment business is initially it is very hired by the one community, that's the Pathan community, and they are charging very high interest on that. But now it is being, people have been educated, and now everyone, those who are coming in the middle class of Pakistan, they are looking forward for the QisstPay type of products in Pakistan. So this is what I would like to just to add in this consumer profiling.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I'll just sum this up. I think we're done with the session as well. I think the key takeaways of this session would be that the Pakistan right now is a very dynamic market, and as Fahad and Jordan added, we need to identify and focus on the ideal customer profile in this case, and as Iftikhar Sahab added, that this should be a recurring process, especially keeping in mind the Pakistani market. All right, so it was amazing hosting all of you, Farheena, Haseeb Sahab, Fahad, Iftikhar Sahab, Jordan. It was great meeting you all. Looking forward to keeping in touch with you for more details.
Thank you.
Stay connected to the CxO Global Forum's social handles. This is Safir signing off. Thank you so much, guys. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Safir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.